Hey guys, Sheldon Evans here, and in this video we're going to be discussing 3 different cryptocurrency trends that could absolutely explode in 2021. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications, or if you've been around for a while, welcome back. So, the reason that I say these trends could absolutely explode in the upcoming year is that they solve issues and they fix the problems that we're currently facing on the blockchain. And one of those issues is scalability. As we know, cryptocurrency has been reaching headlines all around the world lately, and more people are being adopted and joining the ecosystem. Bitcoin was initially created as a transactional cryptocurrency, and as I've said before, it actually failed at that. It's horribly slow, and that's why now it has basically become a store of value, and it's left room for other cryptos to come into place and function as transactional cryptocurrencies. And one of those was Ethereum. But Ethereum is in fact quite slow as well, and by congesting the network with things like Cryptokitties and Uniswap and more people coming into the system, fees skyrocket and the network slows down. So what do? We have to implement layer 1 and layer 2 solutions. Now what that means is that we either implement a solution on top of the current network to speed it up and solve the underlying issues, or we change the protocol itself to improve on its downfalls. Now the issue with changing the protocol itself is that there's a lot of money invested, and if something goes wrong or if you run into errors, a lot of money can be lost. So what ends up happening is we start implementing layer 2 solutions like sharding. For example, Bitcoin only has a transactional speed of 4.6 transactions per second, and Ethereum only around 15 transactions per second. That might sound quite fast, but in fact, it's very slow if we compare it to the traditional market or the traditional world, where Visa and MasterCard process around 8,500 transactions per second. So we need something to fix that. Ethereum developers have been working on a solution to this for a very long time, and that is why Ethereum is moving from proof of stake to proof of work. But there's another cryptocurrency that's popped up known as Zilliqa. They've been around for a while and they're absolutely amazing. I'm quite bullish on them because they were the first crypto to implement sharding. Now what sharding means is instead of having one transactional chain, you have multiple parallel lines of transactions happening at the same time. So the network gets broken up into shards so that they can process multiple transactions at once. Now as I've spoken about in previous videos, the first doesn't always mean it's the best solution, but it does mean that it can grow quite quickly and capture a lot of the market share. So Zilliqa is one of those projects. Zilliqa aims to make transactional cryptocurrency the norm. As you can see, they've achieved 2,448 transactions per second with simply 6 shares. That's 600 nodes per shard. But this isn't even the max. As you can see, they performed a stress test on Zilliqa and 6 shards came back at 10,000 transactions per second. That's now competing with traditional transactional systems like Visa and MasterCard. But as I've said, Zilliqa is implementing a layer 2 solution, very similar to that of Ethereum, where they're placing a solution on top of the network. Although there are other cryptocurrencies out there that are working on layer 1 solutions and building faster transactional currencies from the ground up. There are tons of these cryptos working right now, like Algorand and OMG Network, which I also highly recommend checking out. As I've said this many times in my videos, there won't be one crypto to rule them all. There's going to be market share that's divided by many different cryptocurrencies, and it's up to you to decide which one you want to invest in. The problem that we're facing with scaling these blockchains is that you have to compromise on one of these known as the scalability trilemma. So we have scalability, security, and decentralization. You can't have all 3, you have to pick your 2 favorites and compromise on the other. As we know, Bitcoin is very secure and it's decentralized, so it compromises on its scalability. However, if we can find a solution, if some crypto can come around and solve all 3 of these issues, it is absolutely going to blow the industry apart and explode in 2021. So if I were you, I'd keep an eye out and do your own research. As you can see, Zilliqa has been growing steadily over the past couple months. If we compare it back to when it launched, it did hit a peak of around 19 cents. We're currently only at 3 cents. So this still has a lot of room to go to simply reach its all-time high at the beginning of 2018. As I said, this is OMG Network, or OMG Go, originally created by the company OMG, which is simply like a Stripe type company working on e-commerce and online transactions. So they're bringing that to the blockchain. They've been around for a while as well, and they do have a lot of smart minds backing them and advising them. Like Vitalik, the creator of Ethereum, is an advisor for this. So also pay attention to OMG Go. Once we find a transactional crypto that works really well, has scalability, decentralization, and security, it's going to take over. Next, we're going to look at oracles. Now, I've spoken about oracles in a previous video as well, and I mentioned API 3. Now, right now, the oracle industry has a market cap of around $6 billion. Yes, majority of that is in chainlink at $5 billion. They are the market leader right now. They're taking all of the money, but that doesn't mean that somebody can't come around and capture a small share of that. Now, what are oracles and why do we need them? Well, essentially what they do is they connect real world data to the blockchain. So if you have something going on in the real world and you need that data passed to the blockchain, you would use an oracle. So for example, let's let's say that you're writing a will for somebody who's going to pass away and pass on their trust fund to, let's say, their child in a trustless and secure way. Now, there's no way that the blockchain can get that information unless there's a third party or person who can input that information into the blockchain to let it know to release those funds once that will or once that person has passed away. So we implement oracles that automatically do that and collect this data, pass it to the network, and let the smart contract do what it has to do. Now, majority of the oracles that are available right now are third-party oracles, meaning that they play the middleman. So there's data, the oracle, and the blockchain, and they pass the data to the blockchain. Although there are oracles coming around that are functioning as first-party oracles, meaning they are no longer a middleman and they pass data directly from the real world into the blockchain. That is a lot safer, it removes vulnerabilities, it adds another level of security because there's no longer a middleman. Although we still do face the problem of having incorrect data being passed to the blockchain. If the data source itself is incorrect, it doesn't matter how it gets passed to the blockchain because it's going to function incorrectly in any case. So as I've said before, API 3 is one that I'm quite bullish on, as they are the only one right now functioning as a first-party oracle, removing that middleman. If there are other oracles that come around, or like Chainlink is working on solving the issue of getting incorrect data by collecting data from multiple sources, then that could absolutely explode. And although I am quite bullish on API 3, Chainlink is the market leader here and is almost guaranteed to grow from here. I do think Chainlink will be one of the top leaders, but there's room for a lot of others to come in and sweep them off of their feet if they play their cards right. Chainlink does have the advantage of being the first, so they are the leader right now. Just as Bitcoin isn't really useful right now, it is the leader because it simply has momentum behind it. It's got that snowball effect. So Chainlink could rule simply based off of that factor. Although you could look at other cryptos like Pasek, who are working on similar things, not quite an oracle, but functioning as the Zapier of the crypto world. So connecting different functions through the blockchain, making sure that if one thing happens, something else can happen, and they can collect data from multiple different sources in order to verify that. As you can see, Pasek forms a reverse oracle blockchain platform. So they were able to restore the balances by conducting a hard forking of their tokens in order to restore the tokens to their rightful holders in a recent KuCoin hack. So even with millions of addresses, stakeholders can monitor balances of crypto addresses in real time. And that's the amazing thing with the blockchain, is that real-time auditing and real-time analysis of the blockchain can happen all the time. So if you're trying to figure out what is going on in the blockchain at any 1 second or at any one time, you can do that instantly by using these sort of solutions. Because everything is completely visible and transparent on the blockchain, you can see exactly what is happening at all times. Next up are non-fungible tokens. Now, you may have heard about these before. I could not leave them out because I am absolutely bullish on them. Essentially, it sounds like a big term, non-fungible tokens. All it means is they can't be exchanged for something other than the exact same thing. So a house is a non-fungible asset because you can't exchange it for another identical house. A car is a non-fungible asset. If you were to borrow your friend's Ferrari and you went out to the store and you came back and you brought him a random truck, he'd be like, what the heck is this? Although if you borrow $100 from someone, go and use it, come back and give them $100 again, even though it's a different bill, it's at a different time, those are mutually exchangeable and they can be easily traded. Baseball cards, collectible tokens, collectible items, these are all non-fungible things. They can't be exchanged. What NFTs are those tokens or those sort of exclusive, non-mutually interchangeable assets on the blockchain. And it's fantastic because they can be so easily verified thanks to the blockchain system. So as we can see here, NFTs can command serious cash, with some selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, you may have heard about Cryptokitties before, maybe you've heard about Axie Infinity. These are all in-game and online cryptocurrencies that you can purchase these digital assets with. Now, this involves anything from art to digital baseball cards, Pokemon cards, in-game assets, clothing, weapons. These are all different things that can be used as NFTs. And you're probably thinking, why would you want just a simple digital asset when you could have the real world thing? Well, the reason I'm bullish on this is that it doesn't necessarily have to be the digital asset. You could link NFTs to real world assets in the future, something like real estate. So maybe the title deed to your house is an NFT. So you need access to the NFT to prove that you own this real world asset. That is amazing and really provides a fantastic use case for NFTs in the real world. For example, if we look at this guide, you can see what does an NFT represent: collectibles, digital artwork, a ticket to an event, in-game items. You may be a gamer yourself and know that you can buy in-game items and then you own that digital asset. Maybe new weapons for your character, new armor, cars, racetracks, worlds, homes in the digital world. So I think with upcoming innovations like AR and virtual reality, these are going to be the norm. You're going to be able to buy virtual assets and actually experience them with your VR headsets. And it'll feel like you're in the real world, but you actually own those assets and you'll be able to trade them. You'll be able to sell them. Once you own it, you don't have to hold it forever. You can sell it for more. And again, it doesn't have to be a physical thing in the digital world, like armor or weapons or so on. For example, many years ago, I used to grow and sell Instagram accounts. And that is one thing that is very difficult to do. How do you prove that you're going to sell something to somebody and get the money for it if all you have to provide is a username and a password? Well, that's where NFTs come into play. Maybe there's a Twitter account that you want the name of. People sought after Twitter usernames and Instagram usernames, and those are very difficult to provide secure transactions with. But if you form that or you convert it to an NFT, you can easily trade and transact with them. And like I said before, these NFTs can command insane amounts of money. So the Dragon Cryptokitties sold for 600 ethereum, which was $170,000 at the time, for a simple digital asset. This is also going to be used very much in the art industry, I believe, to verify the true authenticity of real world art and even digital art. As you can see, if you visit rarible.com, you can purchase art here. You can create your own NFT if you want. So I'd recommend going to rarible.com, connect your wallet and create your own NFT. You can sell it for however much you want and maybe make some money. People are selling their own art. People are selling selfies. You can create digital crypto cards, whatever you want. You can create your own assets and sell them. People are selling their art just as they've been doing for many years on Instagram and on their e-commerce sites, although now it's simply in the crypto universe. And NFTs are already getting adopted in the real world by massive companies like Formula One, Ubisoft, Vodafone, Nike, Samsung, Louis Vuitton. And as you can see here, the F1 Delta game Apex race car 111 was sold for $113,000. You could buy a real car. It literally says that here. You could buy a real car for that price, but you're buying a digital in-game asset. So you might have a good understanding of it, but as I've highlighted here, much more simplification is needed so NFTs are easier to use for people who know nothing about the blockchain. And that can be a problem because you might not see the value in owning a digital asset when you could simply own the real world asset, right? But they can also transform our attitudes towards ownership and make it possible to own real world assets that are thousands of miles away. As I did once for a friend of mine, I purchased a piece of the moon for him, and that was simply a digital certificate that I received over email for saying that I own a piece of the moon and I've named it a certain name and I gave it to my friend as a birthday gift. There was no way that I could verify that. That piece of land could be sold millions of times. That piece of the moon, probably I'll never see it. But if that was on the blockchain, I could verify that I truly do own that piece of the moon and I could give it to my friend as a real gift. And finally, a bonus trend, which I don't want to spend too much time on, is cryptocurrency indexes or indices. And these are basically groups of cryptos or ETFs that are on the blockchain. So as you know, the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones, these are groups of companies and stocks that you can invest in. You invest in a single index and you basically have exposure to tons of different stocks. Now, the same thing is happening with crypto, where you can invest in one index and then have exposure to, let's say, 550 coins, for example, on a single index. Now, the advantage of this is that it makes adoption very, very easy. If you want to invest into crypto and you want exposure and you don't know what to research, you don't feel like researching, or you have no idea what the hell you're investing in, you simply trust a fund and you invest in that index, you give them a certain sum of money, and they then invest that for you. And this is great to get mass adoption, to get many people in the world to easily purchase cryptocurrency or get some exposure to it at least. The problems with this is that they often have very high buy-ins, minimum buy-ins, so you have to invest a lot of money, when in fact you could simply invest your own money in crypto and not pay any of those fees. You have to pay management fees and you have to rely on them holding your cryptocurrency keys. So it's no longer really self-custody. You are relying on a third centralized party to manage your crypto, which sort of defeats the purpose of crypto, but it is something to keep an eye on because I do believe that it will receive mass adoption and will get a lot of people exposed to crypto. So keep an eye on these indexes. But if you're following this channel, you probably have some interest in cryptocurrency. So you're going to do your own research, you're going to invest in the cryptos that you believe in, and you're going to follow along for better ideas. And maybe I can impart some of that knowledge onto you. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you want tips and notes before they reach my YouTube channel, don't forget to hit my Patreon. The link to that is in the description. And as always, I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.